Now, we've all been there. There is literally nothing worse than after you've paid $200+ on a Kickstarter campaign, you're waiting a year for it to finally get received in the mail. You open up all the boxes and the few expansions that you got, and you set it on the table, you play it, and you actually don't like it. And oftentimes I find in those moments, it is so easy to say that you just like the game because you've invested so much into it. It took so long to get here. Even if you didn't like the game, you don't want to realize that you might have made a financial mistake. You might have bought a game that you actually just don't enjoy. Hello and welcome to Lord of the Board. Today we are going to be answering the question as to why I don't back as many Kickstarters as I used to. Because at the beginning of my hobby adventure, once I had gotten past my initial gateway game and started becoming absolutely obsessed with board games, there was a period in my life, and it was quite a long one, too long to admit, where I was obsessed, absolutely obsessed with Kickstarter. And I would go out, I would back so many of them. I'd be receiving just, Kickstarter after Kickstarter in the mail. And it was kind of an unhealthy obsession that I was really adapting and making very comfortable with my lifestyle. And I realized that I just kind of started falling off from that. I started not really being interested. It has been such a long time since I've even just jumped on to Kickstarter to see what games are coming. Like, I haven't even kept up to date with any of that. The first thing that really came to mind when I thought as to why I kind of stopped backing Kickstarter games was the price. The general cost and the obsession with buying them. It costs a lot of money. And the funny thing is that you try to justify it by saying that I'm getting a good deal. I am getting a really great value on this game and its expansion and the premium components. I'm getting the best version possible right here. But then you do that for like 5 games, in 1 month, and it really starts to pile on. And my life has really been rolling right now. Like, I have more responsibility than I used to. I live in a home and I'm paying for that. I have a wife, I have a cat. I mean, these are things that matter a lot to me that I have to pay for. And I just can't really buy as many Kickstarter projects. Even if I wanted to, I literally can't do it as much as I used to be able to. So that's kind of the first thing that really started kind of making me fall away from this kind of Kickstarter hype. And another thing that irks me is that I actually don't get a chance to actually play the game before I get it. And oftentimes you'll find people that are backing the expansions for that game. They're backing all these premium components for that game. The difference is that when you see it in a store, oftentimes you just buy the game. You don't buy the game and like 3 expansions. But Kickstarter has this way of being like, here's the game and you get the bundle deal. You're gonna get all these extra expansions and these Kickstarter exclusive components and all of that stuff for such a good price, but you're still spending, $200, $300. And see, the thing is, I'm just kind of a different kind of gamer. I don't like to just play a game once and never play it again. I like to play games multiple times. I like games to hold weight to them. I like to be able to learn something new every time I play a game. And more often than not, I've just found that games on Kickstarter that I have received have been more about the visual hype than they have been about the game itself. And many of them are very much similar mechanics-wise, and they don't provide anything really new or different to the hobby. And because of that, I just don't find myself wanting to play them over and over again. I like games that last. That's just the type of gamer that I am. That's what Lord of the Board is all about. It's about playing games multiple times and mastering them and learning something new about them, diving into a game and being obsessed about it, falling in love with it, really. I don't want every new game that comes out and then just passes on and gathers dust. It's better for me that I just don't. It seems like some of the most interesting and unique games that I have found, the games that have really lasted me, have not been found on Kickstarter. One thing that I have been trying to do is actually learn designers' names and publishing companies, and I am trying to seek out their website, see if I can buy from them directly. I would much prefer to do that and support that. One of my favorite companies last year was Osprey Games, because they actually released 3 games that I loved last year: Brian Boru, Imperium Legends and Classics, and Merv. And being able to follow along in their design journey and kind of finding out when those games were going to be releasing, getting on those orders and pre-orders and buying the game and getting it right then was an amazing experience. And I enjoyed those games so much. And it's so interesting because when you see a game that is not on Kickstarter, it just has a difference to it. Something about Kickstarter, they try to bloat out the components, they try to bloat out the experience, and it's all just yelling at you, buy me before it's too late. And that just turns me off the web page. It turns me off of Kickstarter entirely. And I do not enjoy that vibe. And it's funny because a lot of people will say, well, your favorite game was a Kickstarter game. That is true. Root is a Kickstarter game, and also I did not back it. I actually found it in the store, I played it, and then I bought all the expansions, and then I was on every campaign after that. So I don't know, I just kind of operate a little bit differently than I used to. And I think the last one is I just have so many games already that following along with it just doesn't help my obsession of wanting to buy, wanting to get these games and just having to have them. It helps so much not being on the Kickstarter page, not to see all of the temptations, all of the new things. Every single day, it's like there's this new game that's going to be better than the last one. I just kind of stopped getting as many Kickstarter games, and I have been so much happier now. I have learned so much more about the hobby. I've learned that there's so much more out there than just Kickstarter projects, and I'm not trying to discourage anybody from being on Kickstarter. I'm just sharing my experience and what I am going through right now, what I am doing. I hope that this video was enjoyable for you. Like I said, I am interested in hearing your thoughts about this, and I would love to hear where you're at in your Kickstarter journey, or where you're not at. If you're not even on your Kickstarter journey, I would just love to hear your stories. So definitely drop it in the comments below, and I will see you there. Thank you so much for watching.